gathered again. There you go. Well. Now we're going to carry on with the second lesson of modulation. It's a beguiling topic. No? I guess. So today we might need a piano, we might not need a piano. It depends on how long we will take. Yes. Yeah, Gary is all set up there. Yeah, it is also. So good. But we don't know. Yes. So we're going to continue. What is a modulation? Why we should have a modulation? Which chords we use for the modulation? Which types of modulatory processes? Yes, are going to have. We have 4. And the steps. Yes, and we're going to, if we are fast enough today, if not next week. With the circle of fifths, because in order to modulate, we have to know the circle of fifths by heart, like our name, like the palm of our hand. Yes, because we have to start to make connections. Yes, in between the keys. Yes, so let's start. Okay, now let's continue. So it says, if a work of art is to emerge, then we must engage in this movement-generating conflict. The tonality must be placed in danger of losing its sovereignty. The appetites for independence and the tendencies towards mutiny must be given opportunity to activate themselves. So he's very, very dramatic in the way he expresses himself, how to modulate. Yes, so we must engage in this movement-generating conflict. Where is the conflict in a modulation? Where is it? Where is that? I mean, what is this movement-generating conflict?
Tonalities?
Is, yes, of course. But what he's referring to is that when you're composing or when you're analyzing a piece, you have to see what triggers that. I mean, a modulatory process is not just put a chord and that's it. No, you have to, when you're composing a piece and you modulate, you need to generate that conflict, that urge to get out of that key. Yes, it's not just, okay, I put a chord, because if not, if you just do that, a chord by itself, without the propelling, yes, the change, won't be enough, let's say, yeah. That's why it says the tonality must be placed in danger of losing sovereignty. Yes, it's place of power, let's say. The appetite for independence and the tendencies towards mutiny, yes, must be given opportunity to activate themselves. Yes, so you have a force that wants to reign, and then other forces says, you know what, you're not going to be king. Yes, always. So that mutiny has to activate itself, and that's modulation. Thus, the departure from the fundamental tone is explained as a need of the fundamental itself, in whose very overtones the same conflict is contained as a model, so to speak, on another plane. So, what does it mean? I mean, it sounds beautiful, but what does it mean? Even the apparently complete departure from the tonality turns out to be means for making the victory of the fundamental so much the more dazzling. Now, one thing that he says, I think is very important from this, as a need of the fundamental itself, in whose very overtones, that is the key. Because Laura, I mean, I know that you haven't seen that lesson, although I strongly recommend that you do. Yeah, that if you just have to watch one lesson, just watch that one, or there's an article related overtones. because everything is about that, yes? So contained, all the notes contained within the overtones, that is what will proclaim, let's say, yes, this mutiny. Yes, so within that overtone, that fundamental overtone, you have the, let's say, the future keys, yes? That will say, I want to emancipate myself. Okay, so if we then justifiably follow the tendencies of the subordinate chords, let's say, those subordinate notes, yes? I'm just keeping a couple of things because if not, this will take forever. Just let you know, yeah? We see the necessity and the possibility of modulation. We might ask ourselves, is tonality strong enough to rule overall or not? Both, he says. It can be strong enough, it can be also weak. If it believes in itself, then it's strong enough. If it doubts its divine right to rule, yes, like Charles I, then it's too weak. From the outset, it goes from autocratically believing it's its mission, then it will conquer. So, in a way, the necessity to leave the key, yes, actually is done by the composer. So, if you believe that you have the right to rule, then you won't change the key. But if you need that, or if you believe that this key, yes, won't be the only king in your piece, well, you will modulate, yeah, in a nutshell. Now, we have 4 types of function, let's say, yes. This is from the nature of chords and from their relation to the tonic, yes, you have, there you go, you have 4 types of relationships to the tonic key. Okay, so you have the tonic key, once you settle there, you have 4 relationships. Yes, we says we can derive insights which lead us to establish the following functions. So you have 4 in total. 1, the digressions from the tonic and the assertion of the tonic are such that in spite of all new elaborations of the secondary tones, however remote, the tonality is finally victorious. That function would then really be an extended cadence, essentially the harmonic plan of every musical composition, however large. So he says, let's go back. Yeah. Such that in spite of all new elaboration of the secondary tones, the tonality is finally victorious through the cadence. So, question number 1. And this is something that we saw last week. So let's see who remembers. What are the secondary tones or chords within a key that he said last? We covered. Let's see who has the memory.
The dominant and the subdominant.
Yes, absolutely, Georgios. Excellent memory. Those are the first ones. And why are the first ones? Please.
I will say 1/5 apart and 1 accidental apart. And yeah, I guess something, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Actually, I would stay just with the interval. Tonic, 5th, dominant, equidistant distance, dominant, subdominant, equidistant distance of a perfect 5th, down. But, let me see who remembers. So far, so good. Those are the first secondary tones. But those secondary tones have other secondary tones.
I'm pretty sure it's their fifth.
No.
Yeah, I don't remember. So it is what is hard to...
Look. C major. G, F. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. G, F. And those are
the chords.
yes, of course, they're chords. What are they going to be? Crepes.
Triad that they make.
No, they're a third below. Remember.
Isn't that what I'm saying?
Are you sure you were saying that? Look, tell me the chords. Tell me the example, and we'll see.
Below, you mean triad with the top of G, the top of F? No, impossible. Can't be that. A third below G or a third above G?
No, below G.
So, E, C.
So you have the chords, so there you have the G and then the E, and then you have the F and the D.
D. Yes. Yes.
And we said last time that how, that was kind of weird to relate E minor, so mediant, not E minor, mediant, to the dominant, because generally you relate the dominant with the leading tone. Yes, in a same family. But he's talking about regions here. Yes, so that are what is called the secondary tones, however remote. Yeah. So you start with the tonic, you go chord, region, but you finally go home, as we call it extended cadence. Yes. So essentially, that's the harmonic plan of the piece. However large the piece, but if you go home, yes, that is when the tonic came victorious. Now, you digress, and then going back. The second, yes, relation, yes, of the nature of the chords to the tonic. The digressions arrive at a new tonality. This is what we're going to do, actually. This happens continually in the course of a piece, but only apparently. For this new tonality does not have independent meaning within a piece, but only expresses more elaborately the tendencies of the secondary chords. These remain all the while secondary chords within the piece that is subscribed by a key. So what's that? What's the meaning of this? Yes. Sometimes when you're analyzing the piece and say, okay, modulation is leaving the key. Okay, and you go to a piece, yes. And then for a little while, you see that you have a dominant of, let's say you're in C major, and you have the dominant of G, D major, and then you have the dominant, and then you go back. Now, and then this is something that is related to K playing and to form. Okay, remember the harmony helps to elaborate the form. Yeah. Let's say that you're standing on the dominant. Yeah, you cadence in the dominant, you're standing on the dominant as a transition. Now that is not a whole new section in G. It's an elaboration that is dependent to the first, let's say, period or sentence or whatever, that is dependent from C major. So never established itself as a new key with a new motif, with a new thing. Yes, so it haven't established the whole gravitational force around that new key. So that's why it's not properly a modulation as we know it. Yes, because you haven't established the key again. Yeah, with all these satellites and yes, and planets that circumscribe the new tonic. That is a second. Yeah, so it's when you go a little bit, but then yes, you stay a little bit, but you haven't really truly make this new key sovereign, let's say. Yes, the new key haven't conquered the first one. Yeah, I don't know if this is kind of, yeah. For example, in a sonata form, you truly have a modulatory process, and you establish the second theme in the dominant, a whole, yes, section of that. So that's, yes, that's modulation. Okay.
But then what's the difference with the first one?
Pardon?
What's the difference with the first type above?
The first type is when you never abandon. It's a kind of a, when it says extended cadence, it's because you have, let's say, you have you play like diatonically. Let's say that you have a tonality, yes, and then you go to the dominant, the subdominant, and then the the supertonic, and then all these relationships. But then you have a cadence, and then you yes, you didn't even cadence on the new key. You didn't have even a secondary dominant or nothing. You just went to the subregions, yes, the secondary tones, and then you go back. So we call it an extended cadence, as he called it extended cadence, yes. Why extended cadence? Because at the end of the day, you're just reinforcing this first tonic key, yes. So it's a very small digression. In the second one, you arrive at a new tonality. So let's say that you're in C major, and at some point you put dominant of G major, D7th, G, but that G is momentarily established, not as a new key, but maybe a transition or a secondary motif, but it's not the presence of that section. It's not strong enough. It's not important enough. Yes, that's why. Let's say that, for example, you have the same motif that you express in your first key. You express it in the new key. A very good example of this is any binary form in the Baroque. When you have dances, okay, that certain key, cadence in the dominant, okay, and the B or A prime, no, is the same motif in the dominant. And then just for 4 bars, like around the binary, yeah, and then you go back very fast. So it's the same motif of the tonic. Yes, you went to a new key, but you didn't establish anything with a unique character. Yes, is a subsidiary of the first one, more or less. Yeah. That's why I said it's not like a sonata. Sonata is a new motif, a new theme with another key. It's like, here I am. Yeah. The third one. From the outset, the tonic does not appear unequivocally. It is not definite. Rather, it admits the rivalry of other tonics alongside it. The tonality is kept, so to speak, suspended, and the victory can then go to one of the rivals, although not necessarily. Well, this is, if we have to relate it to the form, yes, to have a, because if we speak just in the harmony, it's very hard to understand. It's when you relate it to the development. Because in development, you're fluctuating, you kind of go and back and forth, and should we go, should we not go, should we go, should we not go? Yeah. And then you decide. Yes? Should we go, not go, should we go, not go? Okay, now let's go back. Yeah? That is the third relationship with the tonic. And the fourth is the harmony is nowhere disposed to allow a tonic to assert its authority. Structures are created whose laws do not seem to issue from a central source. At least this central source is not a single fundamental tone. So, this is a harmony that we are not going to see until very late in the book. Okay, so, well, actually, he says that. The first two functions we shall consider now, the third and fourth, so far as directions can begin for them much later. Yes, it's because it's when the authority of the tonic starts to dilute so much. Yes, that's it's so ambiguous. Yes, it loses power. Let's say that is function starts to be more linear. Yes, they don't have that much weight. Music such as well, let's say, well, Schonberg is himself, Wagner.
Not a tonal, but
it's not a tonal. No, it's not. It's the step before it, because you see, and then through the book we're going to see. That's the interesting part. Is from a strong sovereignty, like he says. That power starts to dilute and dilute and dilute, and until the tonic loses its power. Yes. Its weight, its centripetal force. And then you generate, and this is, who says, the harmony is nowhere disposed to allow the tonic to assert its authority. That's what's interesting. You don't allow it to happen. Yes, as a composer or as an analyst, when you see, say, but where's the tonic? I mean, I don't, it's these pieces like 20th century or you know, beginning of the 20th century or late 1900, yeah, in which you don't really know. I mean, you say, well, yeah, but Debussy is one of the examples that you're seeing with Juan. Sometimes say, what? Okay, yeah, but fluctuates, yeah, goes from there, goes there, goes there, yeah. So that's why, yeah. But we shall work out the first as extension of the cadence. Yes? An extension of the cadence, extended cadence. Why? Because instead of doing 1-5-1, okay, we go around, yes, and then finally we're going to cadence, and we're going to, I mean, what is the cadence all about? The reaffirmation of the tonic key. Okay? As soon as we have richer harmonic resources at our disposal. The second, which is called modulation, is our immediate task. The cadence, as we have seen, it's the means of establishing the key. The aim of modulation is to leave the key. So far, so good. Whereas with the cadence, it was necessary to arrange in a definite sequence certain chords that narrowly define the limits of the key. So, in order to modulate, we have to do the contrary. We have to avoid these chords. Now, whereas in the cadence it was necessary to arrange in a definite sequence certain chords that narrowly define the limits of the key, which were the chords? That narrowly define the limits of the key. Which are they? It is. Which are they? In a cadence, of course. That narrowly defines the limits of the key we are in.
So you mean the chords, right?
Mhm.
So the one.
Well, yes.
Second,
That's the most important one. Yes, exactly. One.
second or fourth.
Yes, but let's keep it. Let's keep three,
Simple. Okay,
or
so
let's keep some. Let's generalize actually, because it was a very important
okay. I
reason.
think okay. We could put the one in second inversion, so that can be.
No, not that one. Look,
No,
it's the chords that narrow it down. Remember that we saw something, and also Laura. Let me see if you also remember that. We have a key. We said a fifth higher, we have another key. A fifth low, we have another key. Those two keys have accidentals, right? Now, which are the chords that narrow that down, that don't have an accidental that is happening a fifth up, an accidental that is happening a fifth down? Which are the, there are two notes, let's say, yes, that we need, that they're unique on that key, yes, and they are there you have this accident. I don't want to say I want to say the answer, of course. Yes, I'm just yeah. So Laura or Iris, it doesn't matter, because the thing is, I remember Giorgio saying that the last time, so he knows. So Giorgio, shush.
I thought you were talking about the cadence itself.
Yes, exactly, but that's why. But they're chords that narrow it down. They're narrow where you are. That cannot, they can happen. They just can happen in the key you are. Both Laura or Iris, doesn't matter.
It's 5, one of them.
Yes. Yes, very good. Yes, because it has one note, the B natural, that it doesn't exist in, for example, a fifth lower, which is the F major, which is B flat. So if you do the B, you say, okay, I'm not in F, I'm in C. And which is the other one? That actually, it is, you said it, but I want you to know exactly why you're saying it.
If it's what I think you mean, it's the fourth note.
Yes.
Yes,
Because what? Why?
I mean, you have the sharing note, the F. Sorry, the
No,
C.
it's not a short note. It's exactly the opposite.
And the one that you don't share, which is the
Exactly. Exactly. Because you have the F natural, which is not shared with G major, which has F sharp. So if you have 4, 5, 1, and that's why it's 1, 4, 5, 1, is the one that is the most powerful cadence. Or maybe, yes, the second degree. Yes, because it also has F. That's true. But we have to see why. Yes, because you're narrowing it down. Yes, this is going to be, why I'm insisting so much on this, because it's going to be very important to modulate, to find neutral chords that they are in the other keys. Yes, common chords. Yes, or neutral, whatever. Yeah, doesn't matter. We will see. Yeah, that's why you have to have that concept very clear. Yes, and in the long term, because now everything is not obvious, but you could, it's related to music that you play, that you have seen, they have composed. Yeah. Later on, when we advance and advance and advance, yeah, the rules or the concepts that we're going to learn, if this is not clear today, now, it will be a disaster later on. Yes. So, he said, well, the aim of modulation is to leave the key. Whereas with the cadence, it was necessary to arrange in a definite sequence. Definite sequence is usually tonic, predominant, dominant, tonic in a full authentic, in a cadence, yeah, in a complete one. Certain chords that narrowly define the limits of the key. So in order to modulate, we have to do the contrary. We have to avoid these chords. Yeah. Modulation. So we have to construct chord progressions that not only will not confine us to the initial key, but will even define another key. If the bond of the tonality be loosened through omission of those elements that express the old key, then the new key can be reached by the same means with which the old was expressed. They just have to be transposed for the sake of the new key. These means of modulation will lead either directly or by way of large and small detours to that point where a cadence will establish the new key. The phrases in which we present modulations will thus fall into three parts. Let's carry on with the steps. 1. Expression of the key and introduction of such neutral chords as will permit the turn to the new key. Not many chords are necessary. Sometimes the tonic key, yes, the tonic chord of the initial key is enough. For it is often at once a neutral chord as well as one that expresses the key. Now let's stay a moment there. Okay? It says sometimes the tonic key, it's enough because it's a neutral chord and expresses the key. Let's go to C major, shall we? Let's stay in C major. We're in C major. We want to modulate. Yeah? Either way, G major or F major. Yeah? Now, what happens with C major? What is the relationship of the function of C major in G major and the function of C major in F major? Yes, Georgios.
So it is the fourth of G major.
Yes.
It is the fifth of F major.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have the notes, the characteristic notes, the F sharp, the F natural and the B natural of C major. So it is neutral.
Exactly.
But also at the same time.
Expresses the key.
Exactly.
So that's what, exactly, yes. So it's like the best chord ever. Yes. Best chord ever to start a modulation. Yeah. So again, yes, very well, Glorious, amazing. Yes. The tonic key of C major is the subdominant of the G major, which is the key, which is a fifth above or to the right, whatever you want to say it, or the circle of fifths, or the dominant chord of the key, a fifth below, in this case, F major, and expresses the key. So, amazing chord. Yes, is the Swiss knife of the modulatory chords. Yeah. The actual modulatory part, that is the modulatory chord, and whatever chords are needed to introduce it. Let's say that we're in C major, again, we haven't moved. I want to go to G major. Yes, I mean, we can start with C major because it establishes the key, it's the subdominant of the next chord, that's fantastic, but at some point we have to put a step and say, we're leaving, bye-bye, bye-bye C major. So which is, for example, which is the chord that will be that step, that modulatory chord that we need to introduce to go to G major? It is. I know you know it, Georgios. It is.
Sorry, I'm not sure. What's the question?
Come on. Stop looking at your phone and concentrate.
No, I'm looking at my phone. I was distracted with the hand. You were finishing the question.
The thing is, you keep distracting because he's the only one who does it. Okay? I never saw you. Oh, Laura, come on. So, which is the chord that we just need? I mean, if we think about that, we are leaving the key. And then we have to do exactly the same thing. The cadence, okay, to confirm the tonal key. And we need the same process to confirm the tonal key, but not in C major, but in G major, which is the chord that will better express that new cadence, let's say. Yes, because we are not confirming, we're leaving the key. Yes, but we have to confirm the new key. Laura.
Doesn't it have to have all the same notes as the fifth chord, right? So
Yes, the dominant. It has to be the dominant of the new key. So if we are in G major, I mean, we want to go to G major. Yes, we are in C major. We want to go to G major, which is the chord.
what makes up G major? G, B, D.
Yeah, no, that's we all agreed. Which is the chord that we need for the cadence to say, to introduce the new cadence in which you say, okay, you know what? That's it. We're leaving this key C major. We are leaving, and we are not in C major anymore, and that's it. This is the end of the process.
The fifth of
Yes.
G major.
Yes, exactly. Very good. The dominant, but which is the dominant?
D, like.
Yes, D major. D7th is better. Yeah. Very good. Exactly. Yes. That's why it says the confirmation, the cadence established in the new key. It's like, here we are. Yeah. Very good. Which chords will, without themselves leaving the key, turn the phrase in such a way that the modulatory chord can render the decision? We can elicit them from the same considerations through which we previously found chords suitable for the cadence. Tonic, predominant, dominant, tonic of the new key. There it was our purpose to secure the key against those related keys into which the tendencies of the scale degrees would too easily cause it to slip. Here, on the other hand, we shall want to give into these tendencies the simplest modulations that we're going to deal with. Yeah, that we encounter into the relative minor key if we are a major, and those upper fifth, lower fifth, and the relative minors. So how many do we have in total? How many modulations are we dealing with now?
Again, the relative minor of the
key, yes.
Of the key and of the okay.
So key, relative, ping ping.
So again, how many?
How many modulations are we going to encounter? The simplest modulations that we will encounter.
5.
Exactly. If you're in C major, first one, A minor, relative minor. Second, in order of appearance. Oh my God. G major, upper fifth. F major, lower fifth. And then E minor, relative minor of G major, and D minor, relative minor of F major. In that order, yes, pop, pop. So A minor, G major, F major, E minor, D minor. Yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to have a graph, yes, but That should be clear. Now we're going to see that, yes, hopefully. Thus, from C major, the relative A minor, the fifth above, G major with E minor, the fifth below, F major with D minor. These major keys are distinguished from C major by only one sharp or flat in the key signature. The relative minor keys are, as we have seen, only special forms within the major keys. Major keys are related to an initial key, tonic fifth lower and fifth higher, are called keys of the first circle of fifths. Now, attention, because this concept is not very common. Major keys are related to initial key. So major keys are related to an initial key, a fifth up, higher or lower, are called the keys of the first circle of fifths. Yes, it's kind of a comfort zone if you're in a key. Fifth up, fifth down, relative minors. The minor keys are referred back to their relative majors, and the degree of their relationship is given in terms of the relationship of the relative majors. So, first we have to see, I mean, he starts talking about a lot of things, la 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 la. But first, I think we have to, yeah. I mean, I don't know, I am not sure that everyone knows this by heart. And this is something that we need to talk about. Okay. This is a circle of fifths. Voila. Now, well, I think now it's pretty obvious, but I will ask, yes, what we're going to learn, not entirely today, especially for Georgios because he has a lesson now, but we're going to see every single aspect of the circle of fifths. Because your task, not for the next week, but the following, is going to write from scratch in the lesson a circle of fifths by heart. Yes. And the next one is going to be with your eyes closed. If I tell you, go from D to the, how many sharps, where are they, how many sharps, you have to know it like your life. Doesn't matter if you're a composer, performer, it doesn't matter. You have to know it. Yeah. So, circle of fifths. Why is it called like that? Do you know? I mean, why is it called the circle of fifths? I mean, maybe, look, if the answer you're thinking right now and say, no, the answer is just so obvious, I'm not going to say it, is wrong. You say it. Yeah? So why the circle of fifths? Why that name?
I mean, it's because of the intervals between each key.
Yes, exactly. It's a circle. And it's a circle. And yes, very good. Yes, it's the intervals. They're set. Yes, it's the order, it's a pattern of intervals and the order of the keys, in which you have circle of fifths upward from, I mean, the starting point, we usually see major. It can be anything. Yes, it can be anything. And yes, you have perfect fifths. Perfect fifths, not fifths. Perfect fifths. Yes, because if not, from F to B, if it's just a fifth, generic interval-wise, I say, we will say B, not B flat. So perfect fifths. Yes. And it's a circle, yes. It's a circle of fifths. Now, if you have to compare this circle of fifths to a device that's, well, we don't use anymore, yes. Now we use our phones, but something that marks the time.
A clock.
Yes. Very good. It's a clock. So that's why when we relate to the keys, yes, we're going to first of all see that this is 12, this is 6, this is 9, this is 3. Okay. Now, well, of course, I mean, and the keys related to that cross, let's say, they has to be in your memory like your name. C, F sharp or G flat, E flat, and A. Yeah. C, F sharp or G flat, E flat, and A. Okay. 12, 6, 9, 3. That it has to be like, yes, your name. Because if that is memorized, let's say, you can infer the rest. I mean, if you know that you go by fifths, and you say, okay, where's 2 o'clock, let's say, well, a fifth down from A or 2 up from C, doesn't matter. Yeah. And also because it does helps with the number of sharps and flats. For example, G has 1 sharp, D has 2, A has 3, E has 4, B has 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah? Now, of course, this is the same thing. I mean, it's a mirror. F and G has 1, B flat and D has 2, E flat and A have 3 accidentals. A and A flat and E have 4. D flat and B have 5. The ones that they're here, that's why sometimes we see G flat and F sharp, yeah. Both have 6, yes. And these ones are, I mean, you have these two enharmonics, yes, but they are not symmetrical, let's say, because D flat has 5, but C sharp, how many sharps does C sharp has? C sharp major.
C sharp major.
C sharp major, yeah.
7.
Yes, yeah, so they're not symmetrical. That's why. Yeah.
But they are.
Yes. I mean, they are harmonic, but the amount of accidents are not the same.
Yeah, but they have the same with the across and up. C sharp, C flat, D flat.
Oh yeah. Yes. From here to here. Wait. I have to clean this a little bit. So you have C flat with C sharp, the same amount, and and D flat with B. Like this. Yes, exactly, like you said. Like that and like that, in diagonal. Yeah. Okie doke. Now, which is the relation, the last thing, and then we're going to carry on the next week. Which is the relationship between the sharps or the flats in the key signature of the keys going up or going down like this?
+1.
+1, yes, but also is a perfect fifth.
Yeah.
You have F sharp on G major, F sharp and C sharp on D major. So between F sharp and C sharp is a fifth, is an upper fifth, it's upward. C sharp, so F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, the one here in A, another upward fifth, and so on and so forth. Okay. And from, let's say, F, yes, B flat, yeah, to E flat, which is B flat and E flat, no? The key signature of the B flat, you have a downward downward fifth. Yes, and to the E flat, and to the A flat, and to the D flat, and so on and so forth. More or less clear? Now, what we're going to see is then what he said is that this is we call within the circle of fifths, the first circle of fifths. Then you're going to have a second circle of fifths. It's going to be like this. A third circle of fifths. Yes, like this. The descent. A fourth. Yes, a fifth. A sixth. So it goes like this, like a flower. Pop, 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 pop. Yeah, so your first circle is kind of your comfort zone. Second circle is going to be flat or D. Third circle, E flat or A. Fourth circle, A flat or E. Fifth circle, D flat or B. Yes, and the last circle, G flat or F sharp, which is the opposite. Go like this. Okay? And now, my request for the next lesson is very simple. Study by heart the circle of fifths. Like your life. Okay? So until you cannot grab a piece of a sheet and you grab a pencil and you draw everything, you don't know it. Very simple. Yes? Because then close your eyes and say, okay, E major, 4 o'clock. Yeah, A flat, yeah, 8, or whatever. It is F, 11. Yeah? How long is, I don't know, A flat to, I don't know, G? And you count, yes? When you say +1, plus, we're going to see that. So, but even try to figure out, yes, how you study it. Go to the book, go to circle of fifths, I don't know. My advice is, the first thing you have to do is do the cross, C, F sharp, G flat, E flat, A. And from there, you draw the clock, and then you figure it out. Please don't use any, and when you teach it, I'm going to beg you. Father Charles goes into whatever battle and dies, and then when he returns or reincarnates, please don't do that. I'm begging you. Yes, unless you're teaching a 4-year-old. But when you're teaching 12 plus, please don't. Yes, because it's absolutely musical, non-related. I don't know. I don't care about Father Charles and the father and the battle and who died. It's not musical. Okay, so you teach the system. 12. I can understand if you have to teach a child that the system is not, well, maybe they need the acronym. 12 plus, they don't need the acronym. Yes, they have abstract thinking, they're very smart, and they can perfectly handle, yes, the system, yes, of the circle of fifths. I hope, yes, that is under. But first you have to study yourselves, right? Fantastic. So see you next week. Yes, study the circle of fifths. Study like your life, like your name. Okay? Very important. Fantastic. So